Hey, Mike Burris here, spiritmusicmeetups.org, helping out some students here with what's called Waltz Time. It's not just used in waltzes, though. It's used in a lot of different styles of music. I've seen it in Irish music, I've seen it in country, I've seen it in metal, I've seen it in progressive rock and roll, I've seen it in just rock. And so what we have is 3 counts instead of common 4 counts. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to have 3 counts. 1, 2, 3. And we're going quarter notes. We're not 1 and 2 and or 1 and 2. We can just subdivide the beat later on. But right now we're just doing quarter notes where it would line up with the metronome. Click, click, click. 1. And we're doing what's called 1 feel, 1 bass drum. Later on, we can do 2 feel and 3 feel. And this is just grooves. We're not adding little ghost notes yet, to create, flow or busyness. 1, 2, 3. That's called a 1 feel. 1, 2, because it's 1 heartbeat, 1 pulse. Boom. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 backbeats, but instead of count 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's what we normally hear in rock and roll. Rock, roll, rock, roll. We're going to hear 1, 2, 3. So that's how you can really tell a waltz right off the bat. If you hear 2 snares right next to each other that are loud, and it sounds like a short idea, boom, cha. Now, a lot of songs, add variety to that, but that is the basic groove of a pa pa, pa pa, pa pa, boom cha cha, however you want to say it. Toom, tick, and an toom, I call it toom, T-O-O-M, and a t and a ta together makes it a thick t. So we think of thick tis as cha, cha. A thick t becomes a cha, so it's cha. So I go toom cha cha, toom cha cha, toom cha cha. Notice that I bring this right back up because it's a rebound stroke. You never want to lay down there because that's for ghost notes. This is for groove. This is for groove. This is for embellishment. Boom, cha, cha, toom, cha, cha. Notice I don't play way up here unless I'm going to be playing a really loud hard rock band or something. Generally, you just want to keep the timekeeper underneath this sound. Boom, cha, cha. So you want to try that at various speeds, and this is called the 1 feel 3/4 time because there's 3 counts, 1, 2, 3, and the quarter note gets the count. Now it could be an 8th note, and I'm going to show you what that looks like, but generally it's 3 quarter notes. 3 quarter notes is the groove. So now I'm going to say that you don't always hear, but if you do, that's a waltz. Almost always. But if you hear just 1 hit, it could be on the 2, and the 3 silent. So that's kind of a lot of sound in the beginning of the beat, and then it kind of tapers off. And so that's kind of a release of energy. It's kind of a decrescendo. So it's boom, that's loud, loud, soft. So it's kind of a decrescendo. Now, if you hear 1, 2, 3, that's at the end. Now you got a spike at the end. You got a spike in the beginning and a spike on the end. This is kind of a dip. A lot of energy, dip, a lot of energy. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But it also has the idea of a shuffle, because a shuffle is 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. See, the 2 is empty. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Getting a lot of ring. I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe it's coming from my... It is. It's the cymbals ring too. I'm trying to keep it from ringing for you. So maybe I'll put, you know, a little muffling can go a long way. I'm going to put some muffling in there for you. A lot of times you have to do this in the studio when you're recording. Still quite ringy. So I'll work on that. I like a nice fat sound. 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3 1. That's a shuffle. So it sounds like this. 1 3 1 2 3 1. That would be a shuffle. 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3 1. Now we're going to keep steady time. 1 2 3 1 2 3. So that has a shuffle. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. When you go slow, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. The 3 1 falls in. Full shuff, full shuff, full shuff, full shuff, full shuff. So you get this falling down into the bass drum sound. Well, this putting things at the end makes it late. 1 2 3. It's late. A for late. So we have that lazy feel. So that's what you hear in jazz and blues, is a lazy feel. 1 2 3 1 3. So anytime you have sometimes country, sad country, kind of a bluesy country, has that at the end. But if it's right after the 1 1 2, it's like an echo. So E for echo. Think of E for echo. And it has a jerky feel. 1 jerky, right? 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. So that jerky feel you hear in some music that's more African oriented, because it's kind of a jerky echo effect, which is something that African music does a lot. So those are your 3 main grooves. And then the bass drum can be not just a 1 feel, it can be a 3, which is a driving, like a house beat. 1 2 3 1 2 3. That's the lazy A, the late feel. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. So I'm playing 3 on the floor. Instead of 4 on the floor, 3 on the floor. So they call it a 3-beat feel, or a 3 feel, or 3 on the floor. So we got the 1 and the 3 on the floor. What's a 2 feel? Well, it's 2 evenly spaced notes. And that is 1 2 and 3 and. It's exactly 3/8 notes. 1 and 2 and. See that? It's right on the 3/8 notes. 1 and 2 and then and 3 and is 3 notes. So 1 and 2, 1 1 and 2 and 3 and. So it's about roughly exactly 2. So it sounds like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So this is right on the and or the Either way, the is just the shuffled and. 1 and 2 and 2 and. It's really a polyrhythm. 3 even notes up here, 2 even notes down there. So it's a 3/2 polyrhythm, which is what they call hemiola. So I'm going to put this on 2 and 3, standard beat. So that's 2 feel down there, 1 2 and 3, and this is on count 2 3. And now I'm going to put this just on the 2. 1. That's the echo. That's that jerky feeling. Now you'll hear this. You'll hear that. In a lot of rock, you'll hear that and a 2. Then I'm going to put this just on the 3. 1, 2. That's the end, right? 1, 2, and 1. So I was getting a little crazy on that. So those are the basic feels I would do, but you can put the bass drum anywhere you want, right? And we know that we're either setting up the backbeat, that's at these loud snare drums are the backbeats, or we're echoing it. So you can just think of it that way. For instance, 1, if I put an and on the bass drum, it's setting up the 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2, 3. 1 and 2, 3. So I was setting up the 2 with 1 and. But you know what? I could echo that 2 again, play it on the end of 2. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, and there's the echo after the 2, 3, 1. Now that's that 2 feel. So now let's move the bass drum over even to echo the 3. 1, 2, 3, and. So now we're echoing the 3. Well, the echo at the end of a measure, 3 and, that and is really leading us back and 1. It's leading us back to 1. So you could think of that and as echoing the 3, but also leading us back to 1. And so it sets up the 1. So it's an echo, but it's also a setup of the 1. 3 and, there's the echo, 1. 3 and 1. 3 and 1. So it's acting both as an echo and a setup. Now they have a special name for echoes. It doesn't really matter what it is. The last note leading back to a 1, it could be and 1. That last and, or whatever it is way out there on the end, leading us back to 1 is called a pickup. Because when they do conducting, they pick up the baton on that and, or whatever it is, before the 1. And 1. And 1. So I raise my voice. And 1. I raise it in pitch. And 1. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and raise my voice. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 2, 3, and 1. So dot dot dot. So and 1. So that's how we could echo the 2 and the 3. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and 1. See how that works? 1, that's the downbeat. 2, and there's the echo. 3, and I raise my voice. 1, 2, and 3, and 1. 2, and 3, and 1. 2, and 3, and 1. So I'm just echoing and coming back. So see how we move that bass drum to be, let's put a setup to 2. 1 and leads to 2. That's the setup. It's leading up to 2. And echo all the way through. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. So I came all the way back. So now I have all the beats. Now, of course, you could play 3 feel. 1, 2, 3, right? And echo all of those so you get a very busy bass. You get 8th note beats. 1 and, there's 2 8th notes. 2 and, 2 8th notes. 3 and. So you get 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. busy bass, I would only do it as I'm building up to something, like maybe to the chorus, like I'm trying to build up to the chorus, the loud part of the song. But maybe there's some double bass in metal that you could do that, right? And you could put that right there using double bass. Right? Really churning, busy beat. So that's your basic grooves. And now we can start talking about embellishment. But I'm going to pause it so I can show you what this looks like on the whiteboard. So you got your basic grooves and the basic bass drum beat pulses. 1 feel, 2 feel, and 3 feel. And then embellishment, that's enhancing it with the bass drum. You know, you can enhance it with the snare drum, I should just say. If you have 1, 2, 3, you could echo that. 1, 2, and 3. So it sounds like 2 and 3, kind of like an echo effect. Or 2 and 3. You could accent 2 and 3. Right? Or echo it away. 1, 2, and 3, and 1. So you got to find the effect that works for you. You got to be able to do all these things on your own, because the music just tells you what to do, and you got to be able to do it. That's why you practice. So those are some enhancements of the left hand. You could do just the 2 feel with an echo. 1. It's almost like a surf beat with kind of an echo of surf beat. 1, 2, and 3. 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 So that's the 2 feel with an echo. Here's the 3 feel. The snare drum on the 3rd beat. All right, that Laz-a feel. 1, 2, 3, and there's the echo. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. So that 3 and falls into the 1. So it's sort of a falling down 3 and 1 into the bass drum. 3 and 1. 3 and 1. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So that has that falling down effect, right? So we can play the ands. That's an embellishment. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So there is no backbeat. Sometimes you want to create an emptiness. Careful on that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3. So I went 1 and 2 and 3. And so I gave it that Laz-a backbeat. Right? 1, 2 and 3 and. See, I echoed it. 1, 2 and 3 and. 3 and. 1, 2 and 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1. For that matter, you could go 2 and 3 in and line up on that 3. So it's 2 and 3 in, 2 and 3 in, 2 and 3 in, 1, 2 and 3 in. Notice I don't change my right hand. I try to keep it the same. Or put a little extra oomph on the 1. All that little ghost note stuff you're doing on the bottom, you should be doing with your, right, with your fingers. Try not to cross my sticks up either, so I can play my sticks independently. So I play, you can see there's a mark here, piece of tape. I play at 11 o'clock so that I don't hit my sticks. So I was just messing around there. Okay, so I'll put all of the writing, well, let's see, I'll put a pause right now. Okay, so this is what the whiteboard writing looks like. What it looks like you did. So you had the right hand playing 3 evenly spaced beats. 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 counts in the measure, and these are quarter notes. They have a stick. All right? And so this is the 1 feel, because there's 1 bass drum on count 1. This would be the 2, and this is the 3 feel. 1, 2, 3, the 3 feel. All right? This, of course, you can play bass drum anywhere. This is the 2 feel. Bass drum is on the and of 2. So there's 2 evenly spaced, got a mean reflection there. Can't do everything. Okay, so we got, there we go, no reflection there, shadow though. Okay, so you got 1, 2, and you got the 1 and the and of 2. There's this 2 evenly spaced notes. That's a 2 feel. So we got 1 feel. Here is the 2 backbeats, counts 2 and 3. Boom, toom, cha, cha, toom, cha, cha. That's what that looks like. Here is just playing on the 2. And that has a jerky feeling. Jerk E is funky. And I call it jerk E because if you counted this with 8th note triplets, 1 E, there's your jerk E. You can also think of it as early. It's early, whereas the A is late. It's late. So that's the jerk E, is funky. Here is the lazy A. That's late. It's at the very end. So that has a lazy feel. So we talked about you can embellish anything. Well, if that's the backbeat 2, we can set this up by adding a bass drum in here. 1 and 2. See, it sets it up, leads up to it. But you could also echo that backbeat with a bass drum. And you could even echo it out here with a bass drum. And we know that last and leads us back to 1. So you pick it up. It's called a pickup note. That last and. Heck, you could even get really busy with a bass drum on the 3. And 3 and 1. And 3 and 1. So we could leave that out. Now we have a lot of bass drums leading to 1. And 3 and 1. So this has a very build-up idea. A B for build-up. It's building up energy to count 1. To the end of the measure, to the beginning of the next measure. So, see how that works? And 3 and 1. So, there is how you can embellish the count 2. Well, you can embellish count 3, right? You can embellish it with a setup on the bass drum on the and of 2 leading up to the 3. You can echo it with a bass drum after the 3. So everything revolves around the groove, which is these snare drum backbeats, and the bass drum feel. This is the bass drum feel. And these snare drum backbeats. This is a lazy A backbeat, and gives you a lazy feel, and you can set it up. You know, you could even do something crazy like that. Bass drum on a 2. Now that, be careful, that can really throw people off, because normally you hear a snare drum on 2 and 3. So this, you have to be careful about how to use this. Now, you can see you got setups and echoes of that. Now, I'll have to say that when that was for straight 1 and 2 and 3, but we know for shuffles and swing and blues and jazz and all that stuff, all the A's, that's, you know, the ands right here in the middle, can be pushed over, swung closer to here. So you could have 2 and 3. You could have a bass drum right here, very close to the 2, and the and, it was right in the middle. We moved it over to the That's that shuffle, shuffle. Makes the sha really long, a lot longer than it was. It made it longer, and so that full sha is really close. Full sha, full sha. So you're going to hear this really close together. So you would have to come down here like this to show that bass drum setup to the snare drum. And you could leave it there as, that looks like 1 and though, but it's an so you could do something like this, put a dot there, dotted 8/16, or you can put a 3 here for triplets, and we know that that means the middle is the 2, 1 E There's that 1 E We were talking about how you can think of 3s as 1 E. So there's the missing E in the middle. It's a little rest, 8th note rest, and this is the last 8th note, 1 E So all those ands that we had were straight time. Just think of them as lazier. Push them out further, just like we pushed the 3 out. That's a lazy feel. Here we're pushing 8th note triplets instead of just quarter notes here. So you could shuffle. You could have this kind of setup. So it sounds like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So the 2 and the 3 is the snare drum. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that is the groove. Remember, this is just a timekeeper. That's on the top. So you should experiment with setting up. See how this sets it up? That sets up the 3. You could put another one out here, and that sets up the 1. A 1, a 1, a 1. And so there's that pickup note, because it goes up and it comes down. A 1. So here we got a lot of setups. You say, well, how do I get echoes in here? Well, you can think, let's say we didn't have a 3. Let's say we did not have a 3. We had a jerky feel, right? You could think of that as an echo, that and becoming an You could think of that as an echo because there's nothing here. There's just a timekeeper on 3. So it's like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, both hands play together, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hard to play with one hand. But you get the idea. This is an echo of the 2. See that? But there's no setup because there's no backbeat here. There's no 3. There's nothing here. It's missing. So there are echoes. That can be thought of as a setup to here. Setting up 1. So there's, just keep thinking of echoes and setups. Now, setup, we can set up this, right? We could set it up with a snare drum. So we got 1, 2, right? Hard to play this. Set this down here for. So we got 1, there's the setup. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's a setup. 2. Notice it's down here. It's soft. It's not 2 because it sets up the 2. Remember, we got to keep the backbeat. This is a backbeat. This is not a backbeat. 1, 2. Now, if you want to make loud, it can be a groove setter because now it's so loud that it's becoming part of the groove. 1, 2. So I hope that helps you understand setups and echoes, that's embellishment, of the basic grooves of 3/4 time. And you can get to where you add even more embellishment. So let's talk about that. You know, let's go back to straight time, 1 and 2. So that's just 1 and 2. Now we can embellish that and by making it 2/16 and So now we have and a 2, and a 2, and a 2, and a 2. So we got 2 bass drums leading up. We got a double setup, right? And a 2. So that's embellishment even more than we had before. So we can echo the backbeat. We did this before. We went 2 and, right? We did that. We went 2, 2 is together, 2, 2, right? I'm sorry, this would be snare. 2, both together. And then we did just the and. So it went 2 and. But we could make this and couldn't we? We could make that 2/16. So it has and a sound. So we'll play this. And this could, if we wanted to, put a bass drum here. It'd be kind of strange. It'd be like a pickup note to the 1, 3, 1, with a 2, right? That's that jerky feel, that jerky feeling with an echo of the 2. See how it echoes? But it all leads to the 3. So it's an echo of the 2 that sets up the 3. So things that are echoes can be setups also. So let's look at what that looks like. See if I can keep this from falling. So we have 1, and then we have the backbeat 2, and that's a 2 and 2 and 2 and sounds like an echo, doesn't it? 2 and 2 and 3. So the and 3 leads to the bass drum, so it's a setup. So it's 1 and 2 and 3. 1 1 and 2 and a 3 and 1 and 2 and a 3. So I raise my voice 3. So that can be a quarter note pickup. 3, 1, 2 and a 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 3, 1 and 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 2 and a 3. See how I picked up 3, 1. So I raise my voice and I pick up my stick. And that is how we could do that. Now we could have made an echo of the bass drum and made that the pickup to the 1. 3 and 1. 3 and 1. So now we got 1, 2, and there's the echo. 3, and now the bass drum becomes and 1, 2, and a 3, and 1, and 1. Okay, 3 and 1, 2 and a 3 and 1. So I just want you to see that you can put any note you want before, that's your setup, before something, or after. And you got a lot of notes to work with. In straight time, you have 1 and 2, but you also have 1 E and 2. So you have more options in here. You can play any of those notes leading up to 2. And after 2, you got 2 E and A. So you got all those notes, and we used some of them here. Remember, jerk E's are funky. So an E after any of these is very jerky. Is very, by itself, is very lazy. And now, if you didn't have 8th notes or 16th notes and you went into, swing time, you have 3s. You have 1 E, you got all those possibilities. And 2 E, you got all those possibilities on the snare drum or the bass drum. And you got all those snare possibilities and bass drum possibilities there. Again, everything matters on what your groove is. So you can't just randomly throw all these notes down like there's so many options. Really, your options are greatly limited once you decide what your groove is. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's going to limit a lot of things because you can only set this up or echo it. 1, 2, 3. See how I double that? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I added some 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm also right there doing us instead of ands. 1, 2, 3, 1 E, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 E, 2 E. There's that E, those triplets. 1 E, 2 E, 3, 1. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's taking the and doubling that. It's like a 30-second note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's really fast double there right before the 3. So you can get as fast as you want. The main thing is the groove. Is it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3? Or is it 1, 2, 3? Or is it 1, 2, 3? Or is it something like 1, 2, and 3? 1, 2, and 3. That's that and of 2. 2 and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. It might be that. It might be that and of 2. That's very, very awkward. That's that polyrhythm feel. So that's something you would get in, like, you know, progressive rock and roll, but probably not much else. So I hope this helps you guys find in the music the groove. What is it? Try different things. Try 1, 2, 3. Try 1, 2, 3. Try 1, 2, 3, and see how it fits. See how it changes the feel. Remember, because one's lazy and one's jerky, and one's just the standard pa pa, pa pa, pa pa they call it. And then change the bass drum feels, and then start embellishing bass drum setups and echoes, snare drum setups and echoes. Keep all that stuff down here, because anything loud is going to change the groove, and groove is master. So you got to find a groove that fits the music. So that ought to help. So you have a lot of possibilities. 1 E, and that's not changing the right hand. That's sticking with quarter notes. So you guys feel it. But you could go eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and so that's eighths. Shuffled eighths. 1, a 2, a 3, a 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 1. I did some embellishment with the left hand. So that shuffles. You could do triplets. 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E, a 1 E, a 2 E, 1, 2, 3. So those triplets. If you did 16ths, 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. You got that kind of stuff. So you could go 1, 2, and 3. You can go 1 E, 2 E, 1 E, 2 E, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 1. So you can double any note and make that part of your embellishment. Jazz is 1, 2, 3. It's a triplet. 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. I'm just adding triplets. 3, 1. So we can go over more of that if you'd like. Just let me know. All right, thanks. I'm going to turn it off for you.